I'm at 5807 Twin Pine Lane in Dayton, Ohio, doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. The furnace is kicking on, so there's a little bit of background noise. We'll try to move the monitor here so we can hopefully get a little more separation so you can hear me a little better. We're looking for any structural issues, root intrusion, anything that may be of concern to the buyer. The access point is the clean out in the unfinished spot behind the bathroom in the basement. And so there's a PVC stack, a little elbow that drops into the ground. Based off the age of the house, this is most likely cast iron under the floor. That is, unless it's been replaced. But as you can see, here is the access point there. There is the furnace, and there's the bathroom behind us. So it's about the center of the basement. It would be, I guess, the left side of the basement because there is a wall and a crawl space underneath the rest of the area. So it does look like there's a cut here in the floor, so there's probably there's PVC underneath the floor here, probably where they added some stuff for this bathroom or redid it. The house is empty, and so I may have to push all the way out and then get a better look on the way back. So it looks like I have switched over to the cast iron. So I'm probably going to have to run a little bit of water here in the basement and try to rinse the camera off. But most of the time, either way, once we get out to the main, we'll be able to rinse the camera lens off and get a really good look at it on the way back. So I am running some water. So it may take a second for that to show up. There we go. This should also kind of help flush some of that stuff out of there too that was in the line from the house being sitting empty. And so you can tell this is cast iron. This actually looks pretty good and wide open. Cast iron does obviously rust, so it's never pretty. But what we're looking for is just any visible holes or breaks in the line. You can never really tell what the life expectancy is with cast iron because you can't really tell how thin or thick the walls are. But again, you're looking for any structural issues to be sure that it can still function. Okay, so it looks like we're going to switch over to clay. There's a little bit of root intrusion here. Normally that's at the transition where it goes from cast iron to clay, but it is getting in a little bit. Now maybe a connection there. We'll have to look. Sometimes they get in at floor drains or something like that, but that's about 42 feet already. So, finding a little bit of root intrusion is not uncommon. It's right there at the foundation there as we're switching over to clay, and this is a normal pipe material for a house of this age to go from cast iron on the inside to clay on the exterior. So with clay, it's the same thing. It's a good material. It doesn't degrade as far as rusting and getting thinner. Biggest thing we see with that is these situations here where you have root intrusion getting in right at the connections. The packing over the years tends to break down, shrink a little bit, and then the roots find their way in at the connections. And as long as you maintenance them on a regular basis, they don't cause any major issues. You just have to make sure you either treat them with a chemical yearly, like a Root X or something, or you can have it cleaned every few years. If done well, you can easily get 3 to 5 years out of a cleaning, unless the roots are extremely heavy. So finding a little bit of roots is very, very common with clay. You can see there's some intrusion there. A little bit of cracking, but again, that's the line is keeping shape, and so it's not collapsing in on itself or anything like that. It is holding shape, so chances are that crack has been there for a very, very long time, especially with if you see the calcite build up at the crack. We'll pull back and I'll kind of show you, like that white stuff. It's probably where the groundwater is getting in and having some like calcium or mineral deposit as it comes through. So, but we will locate that spot. The roots are getting in what looks like a connection there. So we will mark the spot, but this should be able to be taken care of with just a little bit of Root X, because the line is obviously still open. Okay, I think I just pushed through some root intrusion there, and that's what that area was. So I'm going to push all the way out, and then as I pull back, we'll get some marks so that we can better locate exactly where that area is. And based off of the flow increase when I pushed through there, I believe there was a large amount of root intrusion at that spot. And so my camera poked a hole in it, and will allow it to drain a little better, and so we should be able to hopefully get a better look at that on the way back. So we'll continue to push out so we can get the main. Coming up on the main now. Actually, it looks like we're coming right into the manhole. You can see where it continues in front of us, but the opening there indicates that we are in a manhole. And there's a manhole right at the end of the driveway. And so you could get access. You can see the line coming in from the left. That's probably a tap from another house in the cul-de-sac. But the good news is we have made it all the way out to the main. So we'll be able to pull back here a little bit, and now, like I mentioned, I'm gonna actually pause the video. I'm gonna turn the water off, excuse me, and then let it drain down a little bit, and then hopefully we get a little bit better look at a few things on the way back. Okay, so turn the water off, let it drain down a little bit, and we'll see as we go how this looks. So based on the way out, it looked pretty good. And see, there's another small crack there, radial crack, but that is actually off the property. It would be right outside the manhole, and so that would be the responsibility of the sewer department to repair that in most instances. But because it is holding shape and not affecting functionality, they will not. They wouldn't do anything now to repair it. You have to, and chances are it's been that way for quite a long time. Usually things like that happen pretty close to installation. unless the ground is shifting a lot. And usually that happens up on big hillsides and stuff, so. So far, coming back from the main, all this looks like it's in pretty good shape. We have a little bit of roots here, 75 feet. Just want to make sure that there is some and that's a very, very minor amount of root intrusion. I apologize there for the delay. That's very, very minor amount of root intrusion. Most of these things could be taken care of with a chemical treatment, like I mentioned earlier, a Root X. And usually we recommend that gets done yearly. I think that's kind of what they call for also. Usually, yearly treatments. You just dump it down the drain or a toilet, and then let it get through. So here is the main area of roots here. We're at 68 feet. And this looks like this will need to be cleaned, and it looks like we have some cracking going on through the line also, and so we could have some, looks like we do have some damage to the pipe. So it's about 67 to 68 feet. Looks like it was cracking the line from the root intrusion, as you could see a minute ago as I was pulling back through there. What we're going to do is I am going to pause the video. I'm going to go out and look or locate exactly where this is, so that so we can reference it, because this will have to be referred to a plumber for possible repair. You could try to clean the roots and get a better look at it with another scope, but this is, we'll push back through and get another look at it so that you can hopefully see what's above on the top there. We have a little bit of goo on the camera now, but there you could see the first time through there was some cracking, and so I believe that the line is cracked around it. It looks like it's still holding shape, but you risk, even with cleaning it, you risk, basically breaking it even further, since there was a pretty large break in the line, or large amount of cracks, I should say. So trying to pull back through so we can get some looks, but so far the best one we have is in the beginning, is the first time as we were pulling back through. So again, I'm going to sit right here in the middle of this with the camera, and then I will pause the video, and I'm going to go out and get a locate. Okay, so we marked that as approximately 7'9" deep to the invert, which is where the camera's laying. It's the inside bottom of the pipe. Looks like it's right in the middle of the front yard. So this will have to be referred to a plumber to get their obvious, their recommendation and or quote for repair. Let me turn the transmitter off there. Let's try to limit the interference. But as you can see, there's an awful lot of buildup in the area, and normally root intrusion by itself isn't that horrible of a thing. You can take care of it with maintenance, but when you start seeing breaks and cracks in the line in the areas, those don't get any better, obviously. So hopefully that's all we find here as we pull back. There's some more root intrusion. That was the spot before. And I'm going to go ahead and locate this too, because if it does need to be dug up for repair, they may want to take it back to this point where there was the other cracking where it had started. If they're going to come back a couple sections of pipe, that they may want to know where both areas are. So again, I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to locate this area for reference by the follow-up to the plumber. Okay, this spot is 8 foot 1 inches deep to the invert, which again is the inside bottom of the pipe. And it's about 6 feet of pipe between this spot and the other cracked spot with the root intrusion. And so it'd be about 6 to 8 feet of pipe to replace. If you went 3 sections, then that would be 9 feet of clay. But I believe those 2 spots were the only thing we really saw of any concern on the way out. A little more root intrusion there at about 50 feet. And we should be getting somewhat close to the to going back into the cast iron, excuse me. Tiny bit of roots there getting in at the transition. I believe we saw some right about here. Yeah, about 40 feet. A little bit of root intrusion at the connection of the cast iron connection. So that should be able to be taken care of with a cleaning. But again, the options you have are a mechanical cleaning to try to clear that, and you can get a better look at the line, but you risk damaging that clay on the exterior, either with the jetting or with a mechanical cleaner, since it already is cracked and broke, allowing those the root intrusion. To begin with, another option would be lining. And so you would clean it, and if you did break it, you would go back through, and still the liner would be able to, they would flush out the extra pieces and be able to line that to keep the roots out and to not have to dig the line up. But usually the prices are pretty close to one another, depending on what you want to do. But digging it up based off the placement, they would have to take the tree down also, I believe.
But the cast iron looks really good. And a little bit of root intrusion, one seam, but the condition of the cast iron looks pretty good. We're back in the PVC, which means we're getting closer to the between the bathroom and the stack. And here we have exited the line. So, to sum up, structurally, most of the line looked good. It was holding shape, and no, didn't have any major issues. But of course, the two spots that we mentioned, we stopped and looked at with the root intrusion and the cracks. The big one was at 68 feet. That's the one where we had the largest amount of cracks. You could see on the initial pullback, where even behind some of the roots you could see the cracking, which is probably how the roots got in. A lot of times they'll get in at seams, but at that spot you can see the cracking, and there's probably a hole behind some of those roots that's allowing that. And then we had a few more cracks at about 62 feet. Again, there's a little bit of roots getting into the connection. That wasn't anywhere near as bad, but if it does need to be dug up, both spots are marked. If you're going to go down 7 feet, you might as well replace that section, or if you're going to line it, at least you'd want to know where the problem spots are. So I'm going to recommend this be reevaluated by a licensed plumber to either see their thoughts on the repair and or cleaning, and then I would go from there. The rest of the line looked really good, including the cast iron was functional and not too. It didn't look too bad. It looked pretty good for its age. So that'll end the inspection at 5807 Twin Pine Lane in Dayton, Ohio.